So the purpose of standing is, of course, we change gravity when we come into standing, and we live in our bodies, so we don't really pay attention to what all is happening in there all the time. But walking around, and notice as you walk, how are you walking? What contracts? How does the pelvis, this big bony bowl right at the center of our body, how does that negotiate the legs and the spine, which is along for the ride? Part of how we walk is, again, this mighty psoas event that starts each side of the spine, above the belly button, and then traces down. When you lift a leg, you feel stringiness on the front groin. So that's part of the psoas complex. That has to contract to facilitate us lifting the legs. But if it is tight, we begin to lose some oomph in this movement. So as you lift, what does that feel like? Is there ease in this marching event? Or is there some gnarliness, maybe in the outer hips, maybe in the knees, because of course everything again translates up and down. If you hold, place your hands on above your hip joint. So the hip joint is really the, okay, I'll take Eric, because hips and pelvis gets confused a lot in our language. The hip is really this massive event where the thigh bone, the femur, sits into the pelvis. That's our hip. The pelvis is this bowly event. And if there is scoliosis in the spine, one side will sit higher or lower. If there's uneven leg length, one side will shift. And then if it's below that there is instability or mismatch information, and all of us, we have a little mismatch from one side to the other. That's the naked truth of it all. This has to be negotiated here. So uneven leg length causes a shift, which in turn can cause scoliosis. And scoliosis does the opposite. It creates an appearance of uneven leg length, but we don't actually have that. So the pelvis, as you find the hip bumps from side to side and move it up and down. Does one side move up easier than the other, or is it even jigginess across the side? So as you move, keeping the spine relatively still. So we'll expand or ponder more on this movement later, because if we do a whole lot of jigginess to move the hips, a compensatory movement pattern, what is not moving in the pelvis? Not just from side to side, but our hips move forward. We can tilt it anteriorly, and we can get stuck here with a nice little kapoof. Oh, likewise, we can go the other direction and tuck it under, meaning often our abdominals are tight. So when we start with these arcs and flatten, that is to bring the pelvis into its neutral alignment. And neutral, and this is from Leslie Howard, the queen of the pelvis. She's a yoga teacher. And to be a little slightly graphic about it, if you imagine that your vagina has an eye, that's going to look straight down. So if we are tucking, that eye is looking forward, or if we're overarching, that goes backward. So ideally, straight down, that means the pelvis is now in a neutral position, and your spine is in a neutral position. As we come onto our backs, just in a moment, ideally, the back of the sacrum, these 5 fused vertebrae that sits into the pelvis, and the back of the head. These two travel on the same plane. But a lot of times, for whatever reason, we've shifted this awareness. Let's come onto our back. So lay down on your mat. Let me tilt this whole event. And as you come to lay down, before you put anything under your head, just notice, how does your body rest in this position? Changed gravity. Where do you rest on the sacrum? Maybe it's more towards the tailbone, so there's some tightness in the low back. Or maybe it's more towards the top, and that would be the tipping backwards. Or do you rest flat? Likewise, examine the head. Are you on the center of the back of the head, not the top, chin pulls away, or the back overly arched? If there is a lot of tucking up the chin, take a pillow or blanket and slide it under the head so that you can come to rest centered on the back of the head. So this is a little too high for me, so let me change that. So when we practice somatics, it produces release through the retraining of the motor cortex. So the motor and sensory nerves are reconnecting. So slow and mindful movements is the key. Quality, not quantity, is what we're looking for. Let's bend up the knees. Place the feet on the ground and bring your hands to the lower belly. What is the breath like this morning? While we all have an individual breath print, so to speak, the breath changes in response to external events and internal. If we are stressed or sad or angry, nervous, agitated, it tends to get a little bit more shallow. Same if we are in pain, it tends to get shallow. When we are relaxed and at ease, tired maybe, it gets a little deeper, allowing our body to relax a little bit deeper. So we can also alter this automatic event. So now I invite you to begin to deepen your breath. And as you do so, invite the breath down so that your hands feel the belly expanding on the in-breath and softening down on the out-breath. If you're not sure if you are breathing into the chest, move one hand up to the chest and keep one on the belly. Keeping the chest hand as quiet as possible. While the belly hand moves. Now draw your sensation down to the pelvis, and as you breathe in, can you feel a sense of the whole pelvis expanding on the in-breath? Sideways, front to back, and downward. Sometimes called the pelvic diaphragm. So we have our breathing diaphragm, moving down as it contracts, moving up as it relaxes. The pelvic diaphragm copies this, mirrors this, drawing down, but also up. And on the next in-breath, let's arch the low back. Belly poofs. And exhale, returning to neutral. Taking a breath in for nothing and exhale, flatten. So we know that you all seasoned practitioner. Releasing back to neutral. Breath out for nothing. And inhale, arch again. moving at a pace that's comfortable for you. Bringing balance to the front and the back. Only one side contracts. As you inhale and arch, the low back contracts along with the diaphragm. Sensing that. Matching the movement. And as you flatten, drawing the belly button towards the spine, I invite you on your next flattening to also draw the pelvic floor up so that the muscles at the pelvis also engage and release. And these muscles are weak or over tight when we may be experiencing continence. For the over tight, it sounds, I know, backwards. And too weak, same thing in continence, but also prolapse. So the flattening in particular helps tone the muscles in our lower abdomen and in our pelvic floor. You may be experiencing groin pain, too tight a pelvic floor. We've lost the balance. And we can have that just on one side if there's hip thingies going on or back thingies. So pay attention to left and right. How do they work together? Is one side a little bit more eager to participate? And then next time you return to neutral from the flattening, I'll slowly slide the legs out and re-examine. How does the body rest now? And has the breath changed? Let's take the arms out. Kind of sloppy cactus arms. And for this, I'm going to move my head blanket out of the way. And if you have a wide blanket, change the direction so that it doesn't infringe on your arm movement. On the in-breath, press your right heel out, draw the toes towards the shin, and then relax that. Left side, drawing the heel out and relax. One more time, just the heel. You notice the calf is getting a little event. And now let's begin to add the hip. So as you slide the right heel out, take the right hip along with you. And relax. Left heel and hip. And release. So now the pelvis begins to turn, a little bit like a lazy Susan. I find that the weirdest word of all, that's a name for an equipment piece. But notice a little dialing, it's a horizontal event, not a vertical. Next time you press out through the right heel and hip, let's reach the right arm back. And relax that so the whole side lengthens. Let your head just roll. Don't try to control it or lock it in place. Invite you to close your eyes so that your awareness stays within. If you're wearing glasses, I invite you to take the glasses off as you practice so that the muscles around the eyes relaxes also. Now, as you reach out through the right heel and right hand, contract the left waist. Pull the hip towards the ribs towards the hips, and then release that. So we get a little help. Get a little bit more reach, maybe. So contracting one side allows the other to lengthen even more. And just moving from side to side. Reclaiming the length across the spinal, so this helps bring the psoas back to its full length. It's not being compressed by gravity. And finishing on the left side, let's take the arms down and pause. Taking the arms down and pausing. How is your body resting now? We'll bend up the knees again. And then the rotation aspects of the legs. So we, again, have a tremendous amount of mobility in the hips. External rotation. Just simply begin to release your right knee down to the side and lifting it back up. So staying centered on your sacrum so that the pelvis is not moving, just the thigh bone. And being very mindful so that this is a releasing sensation, not a stretching sensation. Release implies ease, where stretching implies some kind of force. Gentle effort, no strain. Lowering, releasing the inner groins, and then lifting, contracting. How does it feel? Is it smooth? Or is it jumpy and jittery? We have several muscle groups that are involved in both the adduction, and rotation. Are they all talking to each other for smooth and pain-free range of movement? Well, next time you come up, let's stay up. Breathing in and out. Notice the breath. Notice the sensation in your right leg and hip compared to your left. And we begin on the left. Releasing down, lifting up. Does your left leg travel like your right did? If not, what is different? Is this the easy side, smooth? Or is this the choppy waters? Slowing down the movements, making them smaller when there is unevenness. Don't make them bigger. Put the movements under a microscope and study what is not firing, what may be grippy. Again, staying centered on the sacrum. And then next time you come up, pause. Breathing in and out. Does the pelvis expand with the breath? Does it feel different than when we started? Walking the right foot out to the side and then slide it out a little bit longer so that you have a 90-degree angle behind the knee. Or a 90-degree angle behind the knee. Lift the front of the foot. You're going to be pivoting on the heel. Then lower the knee towards the midline and lifting up. So now we work with the outer and inner because one is contracting and one is releasing. So as you draw the knee towards the midline, you are contracting your inner groin, but I'm inviting the outer to lengthen. If there's any pinchiness around the knee, then your stance may be too short or too long. So you can visually check, yeah, that's about 90 degrees behind the knee. And also check that the knee doesn't travel past your midline. Rotating in and keeping the pelvis still. And it can be helpful to just do a very slight flattening of the low back so that you're not pulling yourself into an arch as you take the knee down. So again, we want to isolate this in the hip joint. Is it smooth and easy? Sorting out the hips is the best gift you can give your knees. When the hips don't move through their full range of movement, we begin to ask more mobility of the knee joint than what's anatomically available, and that often leads to all kinds of things. All right, next time you come up, let's toe heel back in. Pause again. And let's go to the other side. Toe heel out. Slide the foot out again a little bit longer. Lift the front of the foot so you can pivot on the heel. And releasing the knee down and up. And again, it may be beneficial to pin your low back down a little bit. Don't over flat. Just keep awareness of the spine is not involved with this movement at all. We're just spit shining the hip socket. Maybe removing a few barnacles in the process. Adding a little bit more WD-40 to the joint. Studying, but with a relaxed mind. The movement, moving down and up. And the next time you come up, pause, walk the foot in. Let's slide the legs out long. Breathing in and out. Noticing the breath in your pelvis, in the lower abdomen. And let's roll over onto the right side. Bend up your right leg, but keep the left leg long. Our tensor fascia latae, the outer hip, interesting muscle. It does a couple of jobs. It both helps with abduction, abduction, away from the line, but it all is also a hip flexor. So we've got a lot of muscles that will help flex the hip, but we may be using it more than we should. So if you find you get tired in the outer hip from a lot of walking, you may be trying to use this little guy, not a big muscle. So now let's inhale and lift the leg up. So it's parallel to the ground. It's parallel to the ground. I'll count it down to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So moving the leg, but not the hip. Notice if the hip is traveling along. Let's do that again. Inhale, lift. So about a foot, no more than a foot. And I'll count it down again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Let's bend up the knees, so now the legs are stacked. So like I said, it's also a hip flexor, so it's helping with this action, but now we're going to call in some other friends. If you take your hand, slide it more to the back of your rump, you're going to ask the piriformis and gluteus medius, because they're part of the rotation too. You're going to keep the feet together. Inhale, lift your right knee up. Is that the top leg? I think it is. Lift the top leg up. Sometimes I'm mirroring, then I forget I was mirroring. Now let's count that down. 8 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So sometimes called the clamshell. So you're laying on your side, knees are bent up, heels are aligning with your hips. So this is not the straight back chair event. Let's repeat this one. Keeping the pelvis still as if in a vice. Lift the top leg. You can place a hand on the pelvis. You can also use the sensations from the floor, on the floor resting. Are you moving on the pelvis? Leg is lifted. Can you feel these muscles are all contracted? And again, counting to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Smooth and easy. Let everything pull. And we'll do that one more time. Inhale, lifting without disturbing the pelvis. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Everything relaxes. Everything relaxes. Bringing the knees up now for our straight back chair. Take your hand to the waist. So instead of the outer hip, the hand to the waist. Again, staying with a neutral spine. Only the legs are moving. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, lift your top foot. Keep the knees together. And slowly releasing down. Slowly releasing down. So similar to where we started on our backs, but now isolating this muscle. Take a breath in for nothing and exhale. Lift the leg. Hike your pelvis bone, your whole hip up towards the ribs on the shoulder. Contract. If you have lumbar scoliosis, this is a marvelous, marvelous movement to help release the side that is too tight and bring some tone to the side that is overstretched. That would be the concave side. Now from here, I've set that backwards to convex. Let's roll onto the back. Stretch out the legs. And breathe. In and out. What changed on the side that we were working? In my body, it seems like a lot. And it's funny, we do this every week, but every week I have to go in and redo it to maintain it. Oh wait, it's like brushing my teeth. I have to do that daily too to maintain it. We use our bodies. So we started, you're on your side, starting with the bottom leg bent up, but the top leg is straight. Head is resting on your arm or pillow. Make sure that it's just, again, the neck is in neutral. Take the hand to the outer hip, and then you'll feel the tensor fascia latae. Inhale, lift the leg. About parallel to the ground, so not a big lift. And you can feel this muscle is more to the front of the pelvis. And we'll count it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Everything pulls. And we're going to do it again. Inhale, lift. Legs straight up. Pelvis does not move at all. And lowering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Everything relaxes. Now let's bend out the knee for the clamshell. So again, the heels lines up with the tush. So the knees are not bent up as for the following one. A much wider stance. So clamshell event. Now you can take your hand behind where you were just touching the outer area of your tush. And on the in-breath, lift the top knee. Keep the feet together. Feel these muscles facilitating. And I'll count it down too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Let everything relax. Full breath in and out. And again, inhale, lift the top knee up. Staying centered on your bottom hip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Everything relaxes. We need to do this one more time. Inhale, slowly contract. Everything fires. And then again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All down. And then I'm getting the inner obliques to also fire. Don't worry, we're going to add the outer obliques next week. That's the upper part of the trunk. So now hand on the waist. And notice there is the distance. You have your ribs and your hips. So with lumbar scoliosis, on one side, there's less space. So now we wanted to get these muscles to help balance out their support of the lumbar spine. As you inhale, so 90-90 at the knees, at the hips, breath in for nothing, and exhale, lifting top leg straight up, pulling the rim of the pelvis up towards the ribs, and slowly releasing down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Cooling. Breath in for nothing. And exhaling, lifting the top. Don't pull the foot towards the heels, let it go straight up. That fires the hamstrings instead of the obliques. Lowering 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Everything relaxes. I forget, did we do 2 or 3 on this side before? I think we just did 2. So from here, let's come onto the belly. Rolling all the way onto the belly so we can talk to the big dudes, the glutes. Now taking your forehead either to the back of your hands or a blanket so that your neck is neutral. Now, if this is uncomfortable, support your head any way you need to, and that can include turning the head. Reaching back through your feet, your toes, and draw the hips towards the floor. And then inhale, lift the right leg up. Straight leg, straight leg. And slowly lowering the leg down. Everything cools. So the firing order is really important. Now here, if you're not sure if your big guns did anything, I recommend you take your right hand back and just place it right on your buttock. Ideally, the glute fires before you even lift. The hamstring will follow suit. So can you feel that as you inhale, you begin to initiate the lift, the glute contracts, leg lift. Bundles of steel, and slowly lower down. Slowly, slowly, slowly release. Everything relaxes. Everything relaxes. That one is worth repeating one more time. Inhaling, glute contract, leg can now lift safely. And slowly, slowly releasing down. Everything pulls. And we'll switch to the left side. And again, invite you just to take your left hand, bring it back onto your rump. Oh, we got a lot of names for what's back there, don't we? What they say, dear child, as you inhale, contract and lift. And slowly keep pressing the hips down as you lower the leg down. So the spine again is pretty much neutral. One's down. Everything pulls, everything relaxes. And again, pressing the hips down, contract, lift. And notice how your hamstring does help. It's the little helper, but sometimes it ends up doing all the work. Was not designed to do that. Then it tightens, and then we have low back pain. Releasing. Everything pulls. And then one more time. Breathing in, draw the hips down, left leg. Lift, 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 lift. And slower yet. Lowering down. Your back loves strong glutes. It supports your lumbar spine. It maintains pelvic stability. And it strengthens, or it helps your hip stay strong. Let's tuck the toes under. This one also provides a little length to our psoas. Walk the toes to the nose, creep, 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 creep. Press the hips down again. Inhale, press the heels back. And press the forearms down. Lift the heart. And then pull the belly button up, up, up. So think of lengthening the front body. not just craning it upward. Exhale, releasing down. Full breath. And let's repeat. Tuck the toes under. Creep, creep, creep. Hips down, heels back. And lift again. Yes, your glutes are helping out, aren't they? As you press back through the heels, lengthening the front body. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. And releasing down. And then without a lot of fuss, let's roll over onto the back. Straighten the legs out. Feel. How does your body rest? On the floor. Let's bend up the left knee. We'll tend to the psoas release and then dessert, the fallen tree flow. Now, just the legs today. You'll inhale, arch the back. Exhale, flatten the back, holding it down, and then lift your right leg up. Lift the leg. About 6 inches maybe, not a lot. And then slowly lower the leg down. Slowly lower the leg down. Keep the back down, keep the back down. And then once down, everything cools. If it is hard for you to hold the back down, it can be helpful to hug the left knee in, pulling the left knee in and hold it with your left hand. Let's take another inhale and arch. Exhale and flatten. Lift the right leg. Keep the back down. Lengthening out through the right toes, toe mount as you slowly, slowly, slowly lower down. So it's not a big lift. That way we help isolate the psoas without talking to all of the other hip flexors. Let's take the left leg out long. Pause just for a breath. Bend up the right knee. Take a breath in. Arch, exhale, flat. Lift the left leg. Keep the leg low back down as you slowly, 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 slowly lower down. Slow and steady. Remember, gentle effort, no strain, no pain. If you experience pain, you want to back off, back off, back off. Again, you might want to try and just take the knee in. Take the right knee and hold with your right hand. We'll inhale, we'll arch. Exhale, flatten. And lift. Slowly lower your left leg down. Slide the right leg out. Pause. And then bend up the left. No, I take that back. You're not going to bend up the left knee. You're going to leave it exactly where it is. My bad. fallen tree. Let's begin by just rolling the right leg in and out. So the whole leg rolls. Whole leg. In and out. Rolling from the hip, from your thigh bone, not from the foot. And then next time you roll the leg out, slide the heel up. Keep the heel down, keep the foot down. Slide the leg back out. Roll the leg in. Roll the leg out. Slide the foot up a little higher. Back out again. So this is just pure hip joint, the beginning part. Sliding out, rolling in, rolling out, go up a little bit higher. That's our third slider upper. Go back out, roll in, roll out, sliding up again. And now begin to take the leg across, sliding the arms up so they're straight up from the shoulders. As you take the knee across, you will roll onto the left hip. Release the right hip back out, sliding it along. Rolling the leg in and out. Sliding up. So we are prepared for this pretty much through the whole class to make this movement smooth and easy. The leg goes out, slides long, rolling in, rolling out, sliding up, dipping across, releasing back out to the tree, sliding long. So when you do the crosser over, the dipper, yes, your foot might very well come up. You come to the bottom of the foot, you roll to the inside of the foot, and then you roll the whole pelvis complex. So integrating the spinal movement with the pelvis, with the hips. This is how we use our bodies. We don't lock anything in. Now for the last little bit, explore having the nose move opposite of your knee. For full spinal integration. Do that one more time. And after you complete, just pause. Pausing. Notice the difference between one side and the other. How your sacrum is resting on the ground, how your leg is resting on the ground. And then from here, I think we should start the other side. We began by simply rolling the leg in and out. Rolling from your hip joint, not the foot. The foot just travels along with the rotation of the leg. So where we orient the movement determines what muscles we are firing first. Now let's begin to explore the sliding upper. So leg rolls out and we go up about a third of the way. Don't be too eager to go high. We want to let our body ease its way in. So slide out, roll in, roll out, slide up a little higher. Rolling in, rolling out, sliding up. That was our third one, so we've gone about as high as we can. And we are ready to begin dipping. But again, don't try to go all the way right out of the gate. We just start with just an easy little event. Sliding back out. Rotating in, rotating out. And maybe let the movement get a little bit bigger. But honoring where the body goes to naturally, where there is no force, push. Little bit at a time. Retraining healthy movement patterns for the body. And then at the same token, notice where the movements are maybe a little stuck or painful. And then rehabilitate that area by just gentle, slow, mindful repetitions. As you go further and further across, maybe begin to invite in the opposite movement of the head. Nose moving opposite of knees. Slow and easy. Couldn't you just do this all day long? It's very soothing to not just the body, but the mind as well. We'll do one more. And then let everything pool. Let's draw the legs together. Interlace the fingers. So now we want to bank it. Pressing the palms towards the sky. Draw the legs together, tailbone to the heels as we stretch as long as we can. Consolidate towards the midline. And let's inhale, take the arms up. Switch the interlace. Pressing the palms up again, straightening the elbows. And elbows travels opposite of tailbone and heels. And we inhale back up. And we relax. Let your body pause for the next minute. So that's about 6 deep breaths. And while you breathe and pause, feel the sensations pulsating through your body. You may feel your heart beating. You may feel a vibrant sense of alignment. If there's an area of pain or discomfort, acknowledging that, let your mind observe, rest there for a moment, but then direct your mind to a part of your body that is comfortable, filled with ease, and let your mind rest there. Now you can toggle back and forth between the air of discomfort and ease, spending longer and longer at the ease, retraining the brain to where the focus resides, not tricking, retraining. As you now begin to deepen the breath, wiggling fingers and toes, placing the feet on the mat, just rock your knees gently a few times from side to side before you roll all the way over onto your right or left side. The somatics teachers are not as concerned about what side you roll to, but as yogis, we sure are. And then using your arms and hands to press up into a comfortable seat. Now, as we prepare to close, let's bring our palms together. Thank you for allowing me to share your practice today. As you meander through your day, notice how your hips and legs and spine integrate and move. Thank you. Namaste.